Okay, can you hear me? Does it work? Can you hear me? Just a little bit? Have to yell louder. Okay, good evening and welcome to this evening's meeting of the Woodbury County Zoning Commission. Today's date is May 29th, 2018. It is 6:02 p.m. Tonight's meeting will be audio taped and minutes will be prepared. In respect to all parties, we ask those present turn off cell phones or set to vibrate. Those in attendance are asked to legibly complete the attendance sheet upon the front table. I would also like to take a moment to review the procedures that the Commission will follow tonight. First, the Commission will handle the normal housekeeping agenda items. Then for each application on the agenda, I will open the public meeting on the item. The Planning and Zoning staff will then present the staff report, including the staff recommendation. Any letters or other communication received from the public prior to the hearing will be entered into the record. The applicant will then have the opportunity to present his or her case and respond to the staff report. Next, we will hear comments from the public. If you would like to speak either in support of or against the application, you must come to the microphone. Please first state your name and address for the record. All interested parties shall be heard, but repetitious comments should be avoided. Repetitious or irrelevant comments may be ruled out of order by the chair. I ask that you remain respectful and courteous with your comments at all times. After all public comments have been heard, the staff and applicant may make a closing statement. The hearing shall then be closed by motion and vote. Thereafter, no further comments from the staff, public, or applicant may be heard unless asked for by the Commission. The Commission shall then deliberate the case and may ask questions of the applicant, the staff, or any party offering testimony. However, such questions do not reopen the hearing for additional comments from the public unless so requested or approved by the Commission. The Commission will then formulate and vote on a motion. The motion will either typically grant or deny the requested application. Any Commission member who has ex parte communication to place in record of this meeting should do so prior to the beginning of the deliberation of the respective agenda item. With that being said, the first item on the agenda is any citizen wishing to be heard regarding a non-agenda item. Do we have anyone out there that wants to speak about anything other than an agenda item tonight? Okay, seeing or hearing none, we're going to go on to the next item of the agenda approval of the minutes from the Commission's April 24th, 2018 meeting.
Just one thing at the end of that, where it's the next meeting, date is May 22nd, 2018.
Today is May 22nd. Okay, any other changes or corrections, additions, deletions? Okay, I'd entertain a motion to approve. Thank you. And we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor say aye. All opposed, same sign. Okay, next item on the agenda is the zoning ordinance map amendment, rezone for Teresa M. Kuhlman. Has petitioned to rezone GIS parcels 8946344000023 and number 8946344000027 and number 8946344760005 from the Agricultural Estates or AE zoning district to the General Commercial GC zoning district. Dan, do you want to read into the record some information for us, please?
Dan Priestley, zoning coordinator. We have received an application for petition for rezone ordinance map amendment by Teresa N. Kuhlman as part of a real estate agreement to make a sale to Gene Chesterman. And the purpose of switching over from agricultural estates to the general commercial is to enable commercial activities such as dog and cat boarding, dog daycare, dog grooming, pet photography, pet transportation, pet food subscription to delivery services, and dog training. There is on the application a mention of pet cremation, which would inevitably go to the conditional use permit process at a later time. This application, we had a meeting date on April 25th, 2018 to begin the process of this discussion. And the three parcels that were mentioned are, it's kind of tough to see up on the screen, but this region right there, the three parcels there, you see a real small access parcel, then a middle parcel there, and then the third one there towards the west are what is requested to switch over to the general commercial. As we reviewed this request, we went back and looked at the 2005 general plan for Woodbury County. And the Woodbury County general plan indicates that there's initiative on the Highway 20 corridor to emphasize for that general commercial region. And this map is kind of tough to see, but this area here, if we're to zoom in, these districts are part of the plan, the long-range plan to emphasize those respective districts. Now, if I were to zoom in, that parcel, the smaller parcel farthest to the east would be the access parcel where they would like to place a driveway in to create access to the middle, and then the other parcel to the further west. And what they would like to do is place two buildings on that middle parcel, and then the third parcel eventually go for a conditional use for maybe something of the nature of horse stables, or in the meantime, it's my understanding that they will continue the farming on that parcel. The staff, of course, the Woodbury County ordinance, which we follow, of course, in terms of our recommendations, we look very carefully at the criteria for approval, and the first criteria is conformance with the goals and objectives set forth in the general plan of the county. So going back and looking at that, it does show that it fits with that plan and the map that was adopted on November 22nd, 2005 for the first criteria. Compatibility and conformance with the policies of the plan of other agencies with respect to the property. We have sent the notifications out to the neighbors within 1,000 feet and to the various agency stakeholders. We did receive a brief comment from the Northwest Iowa Power Cooperative, and we've heard from some neighbors. I believe between David, our director, David Gleiser, and myself, we've talked to at least 8 of the neighbors, just had general questions about the definition of what pet services would entail, would be the top question there. The consideration of corn suitable rating, the information concerning that is attached within the packet. Compatibility with adjacent land uses. It's very important here to, of course, consider and look at the neighborhood concerns with that as well. And then the last criteria, compatibility with the other physical and economic factors affecting or affected by the proposed zoning. And so kind of going back to where we started with, it will provide a series of pet services to the county, including dog and cat boarding, dog daycare, dog grooming, pet photography, pet transportation, pet food subscription delivery, pet subscription delivery, dog training, and pet cremation, which would inevitably have to go through the conditional use permitting process. And eventually horse boarding would also be if this rezone is placed into, is granted, then the conditional use would be required for the horse boarding there. Again, just to summarize, the applicant indicated that the smaller parcel there farthest to the east will be used as the driveway for access to the property. The middle parcel is about 16 or so acres. It would have 2 buildings on it, a parking lot, an outside play and exercise area for the dogs, One building would be approximately 6,000 square feet and include all the pet services except the cremation, which would have its own building of around 2,000 square feet on that respective parcel. The applicant has indicated a plan in the application to incorporate white vinyl, chain link, and wood privacy fences where needed as appropriate for safety of the pets. The applicant has indicated that it's their intention to make the property aesthetically appealing to the neighborhood around the Highway 20 area. And the last parcel, as indicated before, is currently leased and farmed. It will continue under that pattern until plans are made for horse boarding and likely some other nonprofit-based services. So at this time, I would suggest if the applicant has any comments, if you'd like to offer us some more.
Hello, I'm Jean Chesterman. I'm the co-applicant. Teresa Kuhlman is the seller of the property, and I'm trying to buy the property to do the pet services. Dan pretty much highlighted everything for the pet services business. Is there any questions that I can answer from before the next step?
I guess just a couple comments. With the pet cremation, that's going to be a conditional use under any circumstance. It's not the blanket concessions to be able to do anything. That would be one exclusion. Everything else that you would be doing would be allowed or is allowed currently.
Yeah, that would be a separate application process.
That's specifically going to have to be addressed separately. That's kind of one thing I make clear or like to point out.
And just to comment, the rezone from ag estates to general commercial enables them to operate the majority of the services.
Exclusive of that one.
And the horse breeding. In fact, if it were to stay ag estates, the horse,
It isn't allowed use.
it would be, but for consistency, they're proposing the general commercial on all three of those respective parcels.
So are there any restrictions for the number of pets on this?
We haven't come across where there's a specific restriction on that.
Could you give us a little overview of that type, of the size and what you're entailing?
Right now, we're looking at approximately 50 kennels, and that would be used for the daycare and the boarding, so no more than 50 dogs at a time. And then 6 cat kennels, if you will. So we would hope that we could keep 50 filled, but
All under roof, I'm assuming? Yeah.
all inside.
And there's no intent for a breeding
No,
service or anything
no.
like that?
Will the kennels then have runs?
They'll be anticipated right now. We have 3 outside big play areas with a 4th and even a 5th littler pen, so not individual runs outside.
With appropriate fencing, so nobody gets hit on the highway, I hope?
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Are you connected or in the works with any vet services clinic or any type of that?
I've looked into it with my attorney, and there's a lot of legal parameters about anything to do with veterinary in Iowa, so we've tabled that until this takes off. Okay.
I'm assuming.
Yeah, we have, we would need well and all that stuff, septics for all of this, like any other place, but that'll probably come back to it as another time, right? Anybody
Well,
else have
And that's all going to have to be approved through.
another building permit and everything?
This would be the
Right.
first step.
Right.
Then they would, if approved, then they would pursue the building permits and they would examine all the things that go with that, septics and
Right.
wells, et cetera.
Right. Do we have any other comments or questions right now? We have a lot of people out in the audience. Do we have people who'd like to comment either for or against this proposed use? If so, please come to the microphone, state your name and your address.
Hello, my name is Ashley Ellenzone. Do you need property location?
Yes.
We're located at 7586 Correctionville Road. We would be just north, adjacent to this property. I have a couple questions first. Would there be a noise ordinance that would be related to this? Obviously, I have 2 little children and we worry about noise. We also worry about smell, especially with the cremation. There's a lot of smell and that from that, as well as the dog waste or animal feces, especially if there is horse boarding. I'm a horse person, so I know there's a lot of smell related to that. Lighting, I know that lighting can become an issue, especially for where our location is. Is there going to be, you know, any lighting restrictions or restrictions on that? Or can we be worked with that to create so that it doesn't create issues with, you know, lighting up on our property or our house? And hours of operation, and how are the kenneling gonna work? Is it all going to be indoor or is it going to be outdoor? And will there be, you know, extra noise, sound conditions with that as well as the extra traffic flow?
I think she mentioned the kennels, the 50 dog kennels will be inside, and that would be 4 different areas for,
Outside play, but is there gonna be any
Outside play.
restrictions as far as timing of outside play? I mean, I have little kids, they nap during the day and those types of things, so that's a worry and concern of mine as being a neighboring
what
property.
do you think is the distance between your property and this facility?
If the facility is located in the middle of this property, probably 100 yards,
Okay.
150 maybe. We are literally adjacent, our tree line will butt up to this property, so.
Are there any questions that you would like to answer? If you would, please. Sure.
As far as the smell from, let's talk about the dog waste. I've looked into that a little bit, and right now I'm currently testing at my house a compostable dog waste receptacle. And with that, there is no smell. It's kind of like a septic tank for dog waste. And the other 2 competitors, maybe competitors in town, there's been no reports of smell for the neighbors that are around there in close proximity. And as far as noise with dog barking, hours of operation, anticipating having all dogs inside by at least 5 p.m. to start tapering them down for the evening, so they'd be in by 5. And then during the day, we anticipate not having barking dogs running around. And I have 2 huskies that I've actually boarded and taken it off daycare at the other 2 competitors. And when they're outside and playing with the staff, there is minimal barking. They don't let them bark, and for whatever reason don't bark. When they're inside and they're being bedded down for the night or we pick them up, there's excitement there, so there is barking inside. But I would anticipate that would not be heard outside for very long, if at all. So noise, and then lighting, I totally understand about the lights, and just have received preliminary drawings of the building today. The lights, I would make sure that they would face Highway 20, because the building, the entrance would be facing your property, so the lights should be shining down on the parking lot or whatever. But I am taking note of that to make sure that that's kept at the forefront. Traffic flow, this business is set up for the busy working household. And with that, I say pet transportation. Our anticipation is that we will pick up and transport your pet to our facility. And if that's the case, then that's 1 vehicle that would transport in and out. For the people that do want to come and pick up or drop off a pet, it would be very minimal at the least. I would say potentially maximum 12 cars early in the morning and maybe at night picking up. The whole intention is that we would pick up your pet for you. And then hours of operation, again, with us picking up your pet, we could use your house as early as 5:30, but hours of operation for drop off or pickup, during the weekdays, it would be, this is very new, 7 a.m.
other thing I guess I'd point out at this time is just rezoning this does not allow for the pet cremation to take place. It's another step through a conditional use permit, even under general commercial. So tonight's meeting doesn't approve that or deny that.
As well as the horse.
What's that?
As well as the
Well, actually, the horses is a little trickier because that's allowed currently.
Would it have to get rezoned as business, and then it's commercial, and then it would have to get rezoned back as, it's not ag anymore?
It's conditional use,
Well,
It'd be-
the horse boarding
right,
is allowed currently.
right.
If it gets
Okay,
rezoned
I
to
see.
general commercial,
It's not allowed.
it's not allowed.
It would not be allowed.
So-
Then in 5 years, I'd have to.
So then it'll have to be a conditional use permit at that point to apply for that, or. So,
Right, so there's a lot more that's going to happen after the fact for those of you who are here and have a lot of questions. This is strictly for rezoning, regardless of whether it's
That was a good question.
for pets or for,
And another thing, I guess, to address our concern with the lighting, it can be used as down lighting, and then have you contemplated any type of a windbreak or a filter, a tree strip for noise, or is that?
That's all landscaping things are in the plan.
Okay, so you do have
Yes.
some intent,
Yep.
and just to address our concern, because, it's, and a little thing like that may help with lighting or noise too.
One thing I got, I mean, there's funeral homes here in Sioux City that do cremation, and I lived next to one for a while. There was very little smell out of those. I mean, typically the body was stuck, the way they described it to me is the body was put into a cardboard box, so when they initiated that fire, you saw the smoke come out of the chimney from the cardboard box, and after that it was clean. I never did smell anything. So, and I lived right next door to it on Morningside Avenue next to Meyer Brothers. So, I mean, if that's a concern to anybody's,
we might not have the
You might
pet
not have
crematoriums here, but we have the human crematoriums here, and
and they do pets over there too, they have. So. yeah.
Okay. Did we answer your questions to the best of our ability at this time? Okay. Do we have anyone else that has any questions or concerns at this point?
I'm Terry Pagan, and I'm at 1589 Charles Avenue. And the question I would have would be the entrance. We're to the north of the easement where the potential driveway would be, and what is that really going to look like? And then can you kind of tell us where on that first property, what the buildings are going to look like or where they're going to be situated?
Yeah.
Because as far as, like she mentioned about the lighting
Are
too.
you the one right along that driveway?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So the driveway would come in from Charles Avenue to the east, and then the building is gonna be that first terrace. I don't know if you want to drive by it every day, there's a terrace in the middle. It's gonna be about 5,500 square feet, and the driveway will come in and it will go straight, because the cremation building will be on the far east part of that middle parcel. And the pet services building
Who is he?
Oh, I knew you were gonna ask me.
He's the,
Inspection services, the guy that has to do with, what was, who you gave me his name?
County engineer?
Oh,
Mark?
Mark Mara.
okay, because that was an addressed concern too, because, you know, of the commercial location, they're gonna need access with fire, you know,
Mhm.
emergency services. You said it's 75 feet? Is
It's
the-
75 feet of width, the entrance width of the.
What's the property width on that? I didn't see that
That
anymore.
strip?
No, it's the strip.
Can you bring it up, Dan?
I measured it.
Can you bring it up? Okay. We have documents. I don't know how much is out there.
Did Mark address that? I didn't see anything in his comments about.
He just told
He
me
did not.
it's fine the way it is. And if you end up someday with needing it a little wider, he would come over and make it wider. That's basically all he said to me. He was fine with it the way it is.
So it looks like it's in the proximity of, directly west from Pumpkin Patch. Okay, for those who are trying to figure out what we're talking about, okay?
Green stripe.
And Gail Milley is the one that's speaking, in case anyone should want to know.
Wondering who I am? Trying to be helpful.
Gail Milley.
I know it's generally with an easement for access for residential properties, it's 60 foot they require, and then it has to have a turnaround, or the access has to be sufficient for emergency services.
But
But
that-
he didn't address it. Normally, he makes a comment, we see a letter, so
No.
It's relatively around 80 or so.
80 feet. I was just wondering if there's enough distance there to go with the 60-foot width and then still have the trees or shrubbery to shelter theirs. And it is gonna be hard surface, you told Mark that either blacktop or concrete, so dust shouldn't be an issue. Is there any other concerns beyond?
You're just asking for clarification about how the layout will go. We'll have more of that information too as soon as they apply for a building permit. We don't have a lot of, the basics here that we can refer back to, but you will have them, it sounds like, shortly, if you don't have already. Okay. Okay. Anybody else have any questions or comments? Did we answer you sufficiently? Okay.
Sure. So my name's Chad White, and I'm adjacent property owner as well to the north. My address is 7558 Correctionville Road. And one concern that I have is just that turning it into commercial, zoning to commercial, essentially says whether it's for this facility or for something else in the future, we no longer have any say. So my fear would be that some sort of big box store with lots of lighting and lots of traffic would come in later. And particularly for the parcel that's highlighted there in green where you're gonna do the horse boarding, it doesn't sound to me like it needs to be zoned into commercial and then have to be reapplied to have a residential type or agriculture type of background. So I strongly object to that being zoned as commercial. One, for the process, it doesn't seem to make sense, and two, for the future, it doesn't allow us to have a say in it if it does change hands in the future. So that's one comment that I'd like to make about that. Let's see here. I'd like to see a landscaping plan at some point. It doesn't sound like that's available today, just because also we're directly north of that blue parcel, the first one from the east, if that makes sense. One that's kind of shaped like California there. So knowing what's going to be, what kind of screening, and we have small children as well. We have 4 children that are 8 years old down to 1 year. And so knowing that they would be safe, not only from a physical perspective, that an animal couldn't get through, but also just from a, perspective of, I don't know, keeping us feeling safe, if that makes sense, for lack of better terms. So a landscaping plan would be nice to share. I echo a lot of the concerns that were brought up already, so I won't repeat them, but I mean, just noise ordinances and things like that, and lighting are concerns. And then another one that I have, I know we've talked about there being, it's hard when we say, we use terms like minimal, because it doesn't really, it's not quantifiable. But traffic flow to the property, I know you've got a service and things, but again, this is an intersection off of Highway 20 to Charles Avenue that I have big concerns over, and I think a lot of our neighbors and especially even those that aren't here that I've talked to personally already have large concerns with coming down, especially when you're coming from Sioux City, coming from the west. Coming down that hill, there is no turn lane to go to the north, and it's already a dangerous intersection. It's not wide enough for two cars to be in there, which there often needs to be because you've got people coming down that hill and people coming from the north and the south. And if you ever had a trailer, anybody has anything you're pulling behind a vehicle, it's sticking out on a Highway 20, 65 miles an hour. People coming down the hill are going much faster than that. That's a safety concern. I don't know if I'm sure there's records of accidents that have occurred there, but I hate to be on the backside of that and be a statistic. I'd much rather this be talked about ahead of time. So that's another thing I feel very strongly about, that there should be a turn lane put in at that location. There's already, not in addition to residential use, there's the pumpkin patch there, which is seasonal, I understand, but it's really bad then. And if we turn this place into commercial use, whether it's for the pet facility that was talked about, or if it ever changes hands in the future, this is the opportunity that we have to address and correct the situation that's already in place. So those are my main concerns. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. But yeah, those are my mains.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, do we have anyone else that would like to comment?
Can I answer?
Yes, absolutely, yes.
When I first started looking at this property, the turn lane was a concern of mine too, because I came down that hill and you cannot fit your car in there, hopefully somebody goes around you.
Mhm.
And we talked to somebody at I'll look it up, I have it written down.
Iowa DOT? No?
They said that, because I asked if we could make an entrance off of Highway 20,
Mhm.
and they said absolutely not, and there's no plans.
The DOT won't grant entrances.
No. Mm-mm.
That's not really an option. I guess I assume it was the DOT you were talking, because the county has no control over that.
Probably Dakin Schultz. Dakin Schultz, DOT.
It's not
Engineer.
really relevant, I guess, at that point, because the access, I'm almost certain would be denied.
Right.
Couple things, I guess, before the next individual. The larger parcel that would be zoned commercial, say, to answer his concern or address his concern, say that was a target that it got sold, or something that was suitable that could go in there and you couldn't control it. What steps are there to address his concerns on that?
Well, it really goes down to the allowed uses there. So if something were to change and there's an application for a building permit that falls through, it would be allowed if it fit that table, the same way like the conditional use.
What is there, I know with access being limited, the county still has some ability to, if it was something that was high traffic flow, can it address or decline that because of that purpose?
The county engineer typically does get involved in building permits when necessary. That would be.
That's what I'm getting at. So if
Yeah.
there's currently it fits the picture, but down the road it's a high traffic flow, it could be denied just for the fact that it's not something suitable for 200 cars going in and out.
That would definitely be part of the review process.
The permit for a building like a Target or something could be denied even though it's allowed, just for the purpose that there is a good access there for high traffic. I guess I'm trying to address a little bit of your concern that just because it does get zoned to general commercial doesn't mean that it's open to everything that's allowed in general commercial if it doesn't fit with access.
This is our, excuse me, this is our opportunity to say something.
Mhm.
Once it's turned commercial, there's not a hearing.
Yes, because there's a permit process down the road that it still can be declined for that purpose, or if it were a conditional use permit, that's another opportunity for you to speak on behalf or against something that would go in there. Just like if it does get zoned general commercial, you'll have an opportunity to speak before the Board of Adjustment for the horse board with your reasons why you don't think it should fit, or whether it should or shouldn't go there. Is that correct?
That'd be great.
It does open
everything is fully reviewed, it is though, the area there is, if there is an allowed use, typically the building permit will go through, but the county engineer would be fully engaged on mentioning the traffic and bringing that up as a full
Because
consideration.
that's a concern I would have. There are uses in general commercial that might not work with the access that's there currently.
Yeah, and we do run into the situations where you look at square feet, number of parking spots, and all those things become predictors on what the traffic flow would be based on the level of use of the facility.
It wouldn't surprise me if the DOT got involved. I mean, for something that it's
Well, they
getting
won't
big.
be on a county road though.
But any kind of access or flowages, we try to pull them in as much as possible, just to get
But do they have control?
counts.
They would definitely be consulted
Mhm.
on these situations as well as the county engineer.
Because there isn't an ability to put a frontage road in
Mhm.
without either acquiring property from somebody else or, I mean, that's the problem I guess I could see is there's no way currently to put a frontage road in.
Mhm.
Can I ask why does it need to be turned into farm agriculture? If it fits the current use, what they want to use it for, why are we changing?
For ag estates, it's not an allowed use for some of the things that she's talking about.
No, the horse burning is.
Right, so that parcel, why
There's that other parcel that, if that's her only intent, it theoretically wouldn't need to be rezoned. That's, the other things she's doing on the other parcel do. So, I mean, it's a good point, that wouldn't have to be to do what she needs to do.
I was following the 2005 county plan where they want to make that corridor all general commercial. So I thought just do it. Keep it uniform. Keep it uniform and be consistent with it.
That was the,
Besides the clarifier too, the future plan, 5+ years, was, I was looking at horse boarding and I was looking at opening up, a dog rescue nonprofit. And you have to be general commercial to do that with a conditional use act. So again, that's 5 years plus. We gotta get the base first.
So primarily, that's that access lot that would be affected in that lot. I'm not sure which one it is,
the
actually.
large parcel outlined there in, right there is the one currently that isn't gonna have
Right.
anything done
For the next 5 years.
for the next whatever.
It's the one closer to Charles Avenue then, this one that has
That's the
the cutout. Is that correct? That's the first one that we'll get? Okay. How many acres do you think you'll need out of that parcel to do what you need to do for the pet?
We're looking at approximately a 55 square foot building for the main pet services and cremation building, approximately 2,000. And again, I just got the sketches, preliminary sketches today, and it's right along that, dark line, yeah, right there. So the road would come in through the driveway, and go along that grass line. The driveway, it would go along the grass, not that one.
The north one, right there.
And the building would be where that, Dan, where you were, yep, that, yep, right in there. And it would extend to the west. And the outdoor play area, we're anticipating having it be to the west also.
What kind of building is it?
Sticks and. brick and
Mortar, brick and mortar, frame.
Yeah,
Metal,
no.
metal.
And anticipating having solar panels on the roof, so.
Steve, would you like to?
Yeah, I'm Steve Flowing Farms, 7462 and 7530 Correctionville Road. Very familiar with this area here, multi-generational, matter of fact. First of all, I don't understand the topography and building in some of these areas like this. It's, water runs downhill water goes, this low sills dirt is very fine. You can see in some of these areas, they cannot be healed. We've done a lot of things to try to heal this dirt, and it will not stay in place, so therefore we have immense erosion problems. I don't know how this can, how's this not gonna affect the farming community? I mean, we've already got more traffic than we can have anything to do with. I mean, it's almost like when we get home from a job, we got to see how many motorcycle helmets are in the wind rotors and the equipment. We cannot get our tractors even around the mailboxes without going over the center line. And if the people come off of the highway, we're going to get more traffic on the old highway, and that's happening no matter what. I just don't see how this is conducive to agriculturally zoned area. Another thing that kind of concerns me here is what's going to happen if at the top of the hill, if I want to put a hog confinement, or if I'm up there with HID lights, the dust off my combine goes flying around down there and stuff like that. You know, this is all stuff that happens in agricultural farmland. And everybody wants to move out there for the environment, but then they want to change it after they get there, make it like the city. So you guys can decide if this is the city or not. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else that'd like to make any comments? Have we answered the majority of your questions to your satisfaction? There will be more opportunities, believe me. Yes?
I don't feel like it's been addressed in the turn lane. We all nodded and said this is a big problem already for us. I don't feel like I heard anything about that.
I'm sorry, I don't know if we'll be able to record you from where you're sitting. Do you mind coming back up to the microphone? I'm sorry.
Sorry, Chad White again. So one comment, major concern that I have, and I saw a lot of agreement in the crowd here too, there's already a problem about the highway, the access off of Highway 20 onto Charles Avenue without a turn lane there. That's, I think, a very big concern. I haven't heard anything addressing that concern.
Right, thank you.
Is there any?
I guess that's, I would speak to that. We don't have any control or ability to put a turning lane there. That's controlled by the DOT. Mark would have to be involved to request that. I don't know that that would accomplish even that goal. And I understand the concerns of traffic flow. Same thing, I'm familiar, I grew up, I've been out here since I was 3. I know this area very well. I know that's a dangerous spot coming down that hill and turning, you know, it's just, I've crossed it with truck and trailer, and it's not a good place to have to get access, and that's kind of what a concern I have with your concern about the larger parcel. If it was something other than horse boarding that would draw a lot of traffic, or even horse boarding that would draw truck and trailer traffic. So I do have a concern there, but the horse boarding can go there currently. We can't stop that as it's zoned now. So I don't, by not rezoning it to general commercial, you don't have any control over it for the horse boarding. If you rezone it to general commercial, then it has to go through a permit process through Board of Adjustment and a conditional use. So I don't know what's the best way to look at that. To not rezone it, and then it can happen whether we say yes or no, because it's an allowed use.
So for the turning lane though, if, let's say this passes and I am concerned about the turning lane, I can't believe that the pumpkin patch isn't concerned about it and not have ever been out there. I mean, where do all the cars park? But is there something that we could do collectively after this forum to, do you know, the DOT or?
Petition the DOT.
The only thing I guess I could say is it's very hard to get things done sometimes like that. To get a turning lane, to get a frontage road, you just, sometimes you're told no. Sometimes
You gotta
it
re-
takes 20 years to get something.
Remember,
There's a turning lane should have been, I mean, it's something that should have been there 25 years ago.
mhm.
It still
Remember
hasn't happened.
how many years it took just to get Highway 20 a 4-lane highway, let
So
alone
I-
try to get turning lanes at every intersection. You know, I would love to see that in the county. I mean,
a
it's already
difficult battle
dangerous enough.
To fight, because I don't know of a way, I've never seen in all the years I've been out there, how something can get done, even though everyone in the community thinks it's a good idea or it should be done. When you're dealing with the state, it's sometimes difficult to address that concern. It's not an answer, but that's what I've seen since I've been out there. I don't know, Dan, if you have anything to add to it, or?
Yeah, it would definitely take communication, maybe a traffic study of some sort to understand the flow.
And sadly, what it might take is a lot of deaths at that intersection. That's the sad part, that they might not do anything until that happens.
So then how come the pumpkin patch, I know they only do it seasonally, not have that concern as well?
I think they do, I think they do have that concern. I
They
think
do.
everybody that's made that turn has that concern that this isn't really a safe entrance and exit at that point
But
coming down that hill.
If you travel Highway 20, I don't know how many times I've had to drive off on the shoulder of the highway just to get off and turn on some of these gravel roads. I mean, that's just an everyday, daily occurrence. I don't care what intersection it is. I don't know how many people feel the same way and have done the same thing. But that's just the way it is, and it has been for years. So the DOT coming in and doing these turning lanes on every intersection is just not probably a possibility even in the near future, but everybody is concerned about it, and awareness is one of the biggest things. You know, you just have to know that's what you're gonna have to do. There's semis that come up behind you, you gotta get off the road and turn, regardless, which is your,
There's nowhere to get off the road there.
you have gravel, you have a shoulder.
No, there's not.
They're talking about on Highway 20,
Yeah.
turning off on.
Turning off, no, not to the left, not to the left, exactly, I understand. You have that medium in between the 4 lanes, and there's not much. Exactly.
The only thing you
Been
have
there,
in
done
that
that.
situation is your blinker, hoping the person behind you's paying
Or
attention.
your gas.
I mean, no, but that's what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
You don't have really any control of your safety.
Yeah, there's.
Exactly.
And if you have 2 vehicles, I have literally been in the ditch before
Mm-hmm,
to make my children safe.
yep,
I mean, that intersection is not a good intersection, and it is 3 times worse during pumpkin season.
mm-hmm. Understandable. And then farming on top of that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Steve?
Well, one of the main reasons why this is such a dangerous intersection, I literally relocated half my operation, 300 some acres, some time ago, to get my family out of the hazard with that Charles Avenue. And Charles Avenue is not a square intersection. It's a cockeyed intersection.
Diagonal.
It's an angle. There's so many blind spots on it. Everybody's been hit there except me, and I should have been killed there several times. But a lot of my family's been hit there,
Mm-hmm.
and it is very dangerous. Now, back on the topography thing, I've done conservation and dozer work down there on that soil, and I'm very aware of where that water goes, and I just don't know where all this runoff is especially going to go when we get more of these roads, or even just gravel roadways, or cement, you get more velocity in water, it's got to shoot somewhere, and Hartsville's not going to let it go through his property, guarantee it. It's going to have to hit the ditch square, and then when it gets there, where's it going to go? They're going to have to change the road down there to get it too bigger or something.
Mm-hmm.
The more of these places you put up there, the bigger the problem's going to get. Just another comment.
Right. Thank you. A lot to consider. Yeah, a lot of moving parts. Hmm? Do you have anyone else that wants to make any comments? Okay. Any other comments from you? No? Okay. Okay, there's a lot to consider. There's no doubt about it. There's a process involved with this. We're one of the first steps. Do you want to explain the rest of the process to the people here?
Okay, basically pending the decision by the board here tonight, if they are to affirm this, the next step would be the Board of Supervisors who have the ultimate say on the rezone. And it would likely go there next week at the 4:30 meeting, pending if this board approves. If this board does not approve, then it would stop at this point.
Okay. Any other comments or questions from this board, the commissioners?
I guess a question, have you thought about a partial rezoning? Just the two, the split sliver and the other parcel to start with?
At this time?
Leaving the piece for the horse boarding alone, is that a,
I didn't know you could not parcel
Yes.
it all together.
We assumed when we purchased all three, that they would all have to go or not.
could you address that?
We asked that question. I think we came to the conclusion you wanted to keep it the same for consistency as well as the general plan.
But it is able to be done separately.
Yeah, that certainly.
Yeah, it's not a requirement that you do it all.
It's not a requirement.
And from what I've seen so far in your application, it's not gonna preclude you from doing what you wanna do or possibly down the road, but it also gives a little bit of control for the concerns that we've had tonight if we were to split that into leaving the one parcel as it is and then rezoning the other parcel for what you wanna do. I guess what I'm looking at is the concern I see, maybe we can resolve a little bit of that by not rezoning part of this. And relieving the fear that something could happen there that would increase traffic flow greatly or something down the road. I'm just looking away where we can
Trying to have a
protect both
medium.
sides, I
Mhm.
guess, is what I'm looking at.
Control growth. I mean, it gives us an
I hate to say
opportunity to
control
control growth,
because
but
it's, you know, I kinda like somebody's freedom to do with their land if they want to, but it also affects other people around. Traffic isn't something you can solve or fix, any easier than I can.
Where this dog kennel is gonna be, it's not gonna all be concrete, is it?
No,
There's gonna be some green space yet?
it'll be all green.
I mean, what's stopping, what Steve's concerned of the water runoff, there's nothing stopping you from putting somewhat of a retention pond in there to subside some of the water, you know, for whatever reason, or, you know, if that's a concern, I guess that's something to look at too.
What's that?
Oh, she just stepped out.
okay.
Can I meet her here?
Well, we could. I guess I could vote. That way we have a quorum. Do you want all four of us here to make a vote? Yes?
No, we've
Barb's-
got a
Barb's
meeting
out. Is she sick?
absence right now, and I'm just concerned with going with the vote prior to her being here, because
Yeah, I mean, it's up to you. We can wait for her to come back, or we can move forward.
To make sure that you have the full opportunity to get every advantage you have. I guess I was looking at Dan to see if there's
We have a timeline?
I guess all I'm saying, if you'd like us to wait a little bit, give her an opportunity to vote. Yeah, if somebody else would like to speak.
Mike, just a quick question. So we've been asking about the concerns that we're going to have. My concern, or just the question I have, is dust and noise going to be a concern for you in return, it being a problem for me? So say I'm combining, beans or trucking or something. So I don't want you turning around calling me and like, hey, the dogs are out because you're combining or smell or, I'm looking at it the other way. So just a question.
Full knowing that it's farm ag land,
Yeah, no, and that's, but everybody says that until they're there. And I got my shed spreader on the top of the hill, and wheel brakes, and all that. I'm throwing it out. You know. But anyway, or chemical drips, I'm just throwing all this stuff out there that maybe you haven't thought about.
Right.
No,
Well,
until somebody's got their $2,500 dog there, and, you know, I'm just saying, it's a legitimate question, I think that's there. You know,
so the other commercial, like H&H and
Yeah.
pumpkin patch, it is pumpkin patch, but any other, does anybody else complain?
well, I mean, the pumpkin patch can be a complete separate, because that is pretty controlled. We farm it, so I know how that is managed, but I just, as long as you know what you're moving into, and not moving into it going, well, now that I'm here, I don't like it, you know, so just so we're on the same page.
That, I'm full aware it's based on, I
Yeah.
spend money to do it.
Well, no, and I'm looking, like, it just so you
I
know.
appreciate that,
Yeah,
yeah.
you bet.
I think what it comes down to there is good neighbors, you know,
Yeah.
communication. If you have a problem, talk to them. If they have a problem, talk to her. Maybe some of that can be resolved, maybe some of it can't. I'm kind of on his side of the fence where I've lived out there long enough that I've seen a lot of growth and it does present problems. Most of the time you can work around them, sometimes you can't. Sometimes it's hard, and that's one of the things the zoning staff tries to do. I know it's residential, is to point out to people when they're moving out there, they're moving out to the country. Like Blake said, it doesn't always hold true. They may forget that. You know, the first time your garden gets a little drift on it or something happens, they blame the guy next to it that sprayed. Maybe it wasn't even his fault. Maybe it was. So, just a comment.
Yeah, and that's all I was saying, it was just a comment. You know, just-
And it may very well never happen. You guys may never have a problem. But maybe you could be a neighbor in a house and have a problem too.
It's true, and I can see everybody's concerns.
We are an ag community, and that's what we like to support, even though this is a commercial entity. The county plan that was drawn up in '05 or whatever shows the corridor along 20. And to answer Steve's question on that too, the reason that they did that at that time was to kind of control where the commercial went. Keep it on 20, don't let it go 2 miles north of 20 into a residential or a farm area and start throwing stuff that really isn't gonna work well. That doesn't mean that they want everything along that corridor to be heavy industry or, you know, they wanna allow for growth, for vet clinics, for things like this, if they fit.
Good point. Steve?
Well, this fit thing is very interesting you brought up, because I had to go beyond the law to the Supreme Court just because my farm equipment would not fit through the road because another guy hit me coming down the road. So this to fit is a big comment you just put.
And I guess, like I said, I've been out there long enough, I agree, I've seen the changes, and there's things that I liked a lot better 40 years ago.
The state highway is a state highway, the old highway is marked as federal road.
Barb, I don't know if Barb's gonna come back.
I don't know.
So I can go see. Can take her,
What's the value of her vote? She hasn't been here for half a year.
I know, I guess all I'm looking at is just,
My opinion, it's a question I have.
we need,
Just-
you need 3 yeses for this to pass.
Presentation, I mean.
That's
here,
true.
I mean,
that's true.
just walk in, oh yeah, okay.
I asked, that's the only thing I was
Just
asking for. that.
Courtesy, trying to be courteous.
Courteous.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
If you would like us to go ahead.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Courtesy is if you're on the board, you partake.
Right,
That's a courtesy.
yeah, right. Okay, so are we ready to make a motion? I'd entertain a motion at this point.
Yeah, close it here.
Close close the hearing then, okay. The vote, closed by vote? We have 2 ayes, the meeting's closed, okay.
I think I'd split. Keep this parcel off.
Yeah, that's fine.
I think for now,
I was saying,
Gives us a little more control.
well, yeah, you can watch how the growth occurs and see if there's any problems with it at the time.
Concerns that were addressed tonight.
Right.
That's my,
but the two parcels, the two for each parcels, go ahead and run them through and then or the rest. But it remain as is.
Mhm.
and then later date, if it needs to be, then come back before us.
Whether she's gonna do what, she doesn't.
Then she doesn't have to do it.
She just has support permit and go run.
So,
Right,
it still gives a little bit of clarification.
mhm. A little give and take here. I think that's fair.
I think I'm comfortable with that.
Okay.
Make a motion.
I'll make the motion that, as we said, the two parcels to the east will be changed to and the one to the west, leave it, and if she wants to change it, come back. And this way she's covered for the horses.
Question, should that be worded to deny the application for rezoning of that parcel?
It would probably, the way it's written up,
We deny.
I give an affirmative on the 2.
Because that parcel number is on his permit.
Okay, do you have the 2 parcel numbers then that we're talking about? Do you want those, or do you have them in?
I do have them documented, but we will include that in the.
Okay, so the one that will be the driveway is 894-63447-6005. And the one that will be the dog facility is 894-634400027. Is that correct? Okay.
Yes.
Those 2, okay, I'm hearing that you will approve the rezoning for those 2 parcels?
Motion to approve the zoning for those 2 parcels and deny the rezoning.
Of the 3rd parcel, which is 894-634400023.
Yes.
Okay? Okay, so we have a motion on the floor.
I second.
We have a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. The motion's been carried. Okay?
You got that, would deny the application or rezoning for the application for the large parcel. What might happen later on, I don't know.
Can I get a third of my
Actually, if you just do the horse road.
Yeah, you won't have to.
Forty down the road, now you don't have to do anything. If that's
Right.
all you do, you don't
Right.
have to do anything.
Right.
Comment I'd like to make is, I hope that on both sides, everybody works with their concerns to address, because sometimes a simple solution is there if you talk about it ahead of time.
Right. Absolutely. Appreciate everybody's attendance here tonight. Appreciate your comments. Remember, there's another step that this goes through. You'll get a chance to talk to the Board of Supervisors if you'd like.
Supervisors can deny everything we did tonight,
Mhm.
if there is a strong concern that needs to be addressed.
And that's next week.
And that's next week.
Tuesday at 4:30 is when the meeting starts. It'll likely be at 4:45 when they open up the public meeting.
Do you currently have horses now?
Okay? Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
Okay.
Okay, that concludes that agenda item tonight. The next item on the agenda is any citizen wishing to be heard tonight on anything other than a non-agenda item. Believing that we do not have that, we'll move on to the final one, which is commissioner comment or inquiry. Do we have any updates or anything we need to talk about?
Well, the only update I have is our director, David Gleiser, was with the supervisors tonight because they're demonstrating an update to Beacon that we're looking into for permits and a permitting process to kind of digitize that in a way. And so they're looking at different cost measures and how it could potentially come out of the budget. And what it would do is it would create a stronger sense of coordination with the assessors and the county engineers so that they kind of see where we're at.
Okay. So that doesn't come out of your budget, it comes out of the assessor's budget?
This portion would likely come out of ours.
Oh,
So-
nice. Hopefully you have something built into it.
So David has been running numbers.
Okay, okay. Any other comments or inquiries about, okay, commission? So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'm glad to see it's going
sorry.
back to Monday night. I mean, this is one good reason right here. David's downstairs and you're right here, so.
And it could happen again.
Right, right, yep.
I'm glad for that.
Motion,
Adjourn, yes, please. I got a motion. Second? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye.